What will an opera singer who has not had any exposure to video games in over 30 years think of video game music today? Will she be able to guess characters from the music alone? Will she understand plot points without context from games like Bloodborne or Warframe? And what songs will we both discover and like as we listen to new music I've never heard before? Let's find out as I guide my friend Hillary Ginther through different stages of emotion through video game music. All right, so first up we're going to listen to this piece. It's a character theme. And so what I'm really curious about for you for this particular theme, because as opera singers we're so good at like discovering and uncovering characters through music, I would like to sort of listen to this piece with you, and then afterwards I want you to kind of think about, and again, the theme of this particular section is inspirational music that galvanizes us, that gets us like going, excited. So when you listen to it, I would just love to know what you think about what this character might be like. And of course, you're going to see some of the character art, but I think it's always really interesting to see what people's impulses are like. So this is called Particio, the Merchant, and it's from a game that came out last year called Octopath Traveler 2. Wow, so that was your first taste of video game music ever. It was kind of interesting first pick. Well, what do you think of that?
I was not expecting the saxophone.
Sexy sax.
I know. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to be taken to like a late 80s, early 90s, like I'm getting it done montage.
Yes, do you know what I mean? Sound, yeah.
Yeah. Like my impression was like I did see like the first little piece of art, but my impression was that the saxophone made it feel very like this person was like alone, like on a journey alone. Like I don't know why, but it made it seem a little sad and alone with the saxophone, but also like motivated at the same time to like right now things are tough, but they're going to get better if I just do all these things I need to do.
Yeah, like the inspirational sound quality of like, I think especially melodically, ba da da ba da da ba da 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 da. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how we use I mean, we have this in opera too. Like when the music sort of like hands it to us, and it's our role to sort of like make it so that it's palatable and understandable to an audience. You know what I mean? That feeling of like showcasing an emotion and slapping it in people's faces, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah, did you feel like did you like that piece?
It made me happy, I think. I don't know. I think it more just made me laugh. Because it reminded me of like if Family Guy were doing a spoof of like an early 90s movie. Yeah. Is that bad?
There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad.
It was just totally. I could, for some reason, like because I knew we were listening to video game music, I immediately in my head there was like a cartoon character who was like getting like, it was like, all right, like we have, before the song started, figured out like what they needed to do. And they were like, man, this is going to be hard, but we're going to do it. And then like the song is like them doing all the things.
Yeah. Your Rocky montage, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That's how I felt. Like if Brian Griffin was doing a Rocky montage.
But inspiring.
In the late 80s, early 90s.
I accept that. Let's move on to the second piece here. So the second piece is going to be super different. So I'm trying to give you a palette here of like a wide swath of different video game songs, and you can thank my patrons because they're the ones that pick these. So anything you don't like, do not blame me. Blame the patrons.
Thanks, patrons. So far, that was entertaining.
That's all that matters.
Let me go back to the beginning. Ooh, I already see horse legs. I'm excited.
Yeah, so this has a visual component, so you'll definitely be able to watch this and sort of like
fun.
deduce. And sometimes it's hard because this stuff is out of context, so you're having to create your own story. So like if I recall, Particio, he does go on a journey, but I guess that music is him like having achieved something positive in that journey. So like that is like the culmination of the sort of arc that he takes. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in that game.
That sounded correct. It sounded positive. Yeah. But not through a lot of hardship.
Yeah, I don't know if he goes
not
through
without hardship. Yeah. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, me too. What did you think about that? Like what made it stand out to you that made you love it?
I was a really big fan of like the sort of like Middle Eastern
Mm,
soundings. I don't know like what language that was in or if
Not
it
fictional.
is in a language, but it was I really liked just like the vibe, and also the video was it was giving me like Lord of the Rings mixed with Game of Thrones sort of situations, or at least that's what it looked like to me. It would look like something I would like be into playing if I played
Mm.
video games.
Suikoden 3, so I forget what year that came out, but that was the third. And I don't actually know if the three games are connected or not. Like, I don't know if they have like a through line or whatever, but the music there is really, really powerful, isn't it? And I think that raw, that vocal quality, it's so different than from what we do, you know, with perfect technique and with vibrato and things. It was very,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's interesting because we talk a lot about that primal scream in opera, and did this feel to you like it was like the epitome of screaming?
Yes, in a I the way that I could relate to it a little bit when it first started, I was like, what does this remind me of? I sang my Carnegie Hall debut actually was this Dan Forrest Jubilate Deo. And I sang each different piece was written for whatever voice type he decided, but each solo piece and with choir. And the piece that was for alto, one of them was in Arabic and Hebrew, and it was like chest yodeling,
Oh,
like very much like like that sort of thing. And
whoa.
I loved it, and it was so beautiful and so moving the way it was composed. I was like, more things like that, please. And that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, and it's interesting too because it's just very raw. And I think like when we remove and I think, and this goes for pop singing too, when we remove the sort of prettiness of it and leave it really natural, I think it naturally lends itself to like this, that just like an overwhelming like expulsion of emotion in a way. I don't know. Do you feel like that too?
Yes, absolutely. It is, you hear more of that actual like person's like voice. It's
The
more connected
core.
to a speaking
Mm.
voice than the typical opera, don't need
Mm.
vibrato. How can we resonate to the back of the 4,000 seat house sound?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is just more, I think, connected to a human emotion. Like if you're on stage and you're directed like, like I just did an Onya again, like your boyfriend dies
Mm.
and you watch it, you're gonna scream afterward because you just witnessed that and you're going through trauma. Like that, it's just not any, it seems like it's not anything that the singer would have to think about, like, how am I gonna produce this? Just like react to whatever emotion happens, and that's gonna be authentic.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you like that piece?
I loved it. Yes,
Okay, perfect. Did you feel inspired?
I did.
Hmm.
Yes. I feel like I could like I feel like if I were like taking a run down like some sort of like, I don't know, like on a cloudy day where there's lots of trees and it's kind of like spooky, I would like to listen to that.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to anger. Do you like hard rock? Do you like heavy metal?
Yes.
All right, perfect. You're going to be very happy here. So this one won't need too much introduction. So this song is called The Super Gore Nest. I've never heard it, from Doom Eternal. Do you know Doom, Hillary? Like, have you surely know Doom in like the public lexicon, right? Like the common
Yeah, but
cultural zeitgeist.
yes, I feel like the like when I see the picture, like that is familiar to me, but I don't know why I would know it. Remind me why I would know it.
It's one of the most popular. They call it a boomer shooter. I guess they call it a boomer shooter, but it's one of the oldest sort of video game pop culture things that has come out ever. I mean, it's like Doom,
Yeah,
Mario.
I
It's
think
like
I might have like I think that I played it as a kid or something. I think I would definitely like have like a
on
big
the
nostalgia
PC or
moment if I
something.
saw it.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and in Doom, like the armies of hell come towards you, and you're just the Doom guy, and you're just killing them. That's you run around and just shooting demons. So it's
Mhm.
yeah, it's anger incarnate, I would say.
Oh, fun.
All right, and you love heavy metal.
I do. Yeah, I was kind of like into that. Like that's kind of what got me into opera anyway, because they're like super extreme forms of whatever their genre is. It's like, how can you take this to 1,000?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes, I do know what you mean. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
I love the fake outs. There's a lot of fake outs in Victoria's music.
shit. That is so good.
Nope. There we go. Oh my gosh. That was fucking rad.
Don't you love? It's like one of the comments was like, "You can't have PTSD if you are the traumatic event."
Well, I mean, if the game is like going around and just like killing a bunch of shit that's trying to kill you, you need something like that to give you like the fuck you, sort of like, you know what I mean? Like it was giving, I mean, I'm going to show my age here, but it was definitely giving me like dashes of corn mixed with 9 Inch Nails. Mick Gordon, like shout out to that dude.
Yeah, he's so great, and what I love about it is that it's never like it almost like that was 5 minutes, but it went so quickly because there's constant like tonal shifts, even though it's like the same like heavy metal. Like there's actually a shocking amount of nuance in that. You know,
I would agree.
It's crazy cool. So you would say that you approve of that?
Oh, loved it, absolutely.
Were you expecting that in video games?
I think that I'm not surprised, but I'm happy to like actually put that music with a game now.
Yeah. So you could go and like listen to the Doom Eternal soundtrack, no problem.
Yes. Especially if I'm running. I need stuff like I try to do cardio a lot. Just, trying to be able to breathe. But I'm always like, okay, what can I listen to for the next half hour that's gonna like get my mile down? So we'll see. Yeah, I could definitely like get into that with some like physical activity. I'm gonna put that on the gym playlist. I didn't know what that game was. I didn't know what that song was, and I'm very pleased. Next up is this awesome song from one of my favorite songs that I've discovered on the channel, and I just love sharing it. It's anger personified in so many ways. It's also like super galvanizing, so it's fun because it's a little bit of both. But it's called Tenebre Rosso Sangue. Ultra Kill is a game similar to Doom, and it makes sense that games that are like heavy on the shooter element, Ultra Kill is actually kind of very cool because you're a robot and you go into the pits of hell and you have to fight Gabriel the Archangel, and you fight all these biblical like beings. So it's actually really fun, and it looks like old school Doom. So I've showed you sort of like the reverse. Doom has evolved, and Ultra Kill is like sort of honoring those games like Doom that came before it. So it's super cool. Piano.
The organ in here, it's just stupid.
It's a howling movie.
Yeah. It just makes you want to Hold on, here comes the drop.
Wait, was this, so that was supposed to be angry, right?
Yeah, yeah, or inspired.
It was, for me, it was giving like if Phantom of the Opera had an OnlyFans. Like if the Phantom actually got it in with Christine, like that's the song that would have played.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was rad. It was like, but also like really, really like intricate and complicated organ music, like giving like Rockstar Bach.
That's the thing. And sometimes I think about this. I think about if these guys were like around, like Mozart, Bach, like some of these luminaries, and we listen to these, I think that Bach would like shit himself. He'd be like, oh, yeah. That's exactly what it would.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have a lot of these instruments that we have now to add to what they were trying to portray. So who knows what kind of composers they would be today with all of the different instruments and styles we've had, like.
Right. I really like this because it shows the advancement of like where we were and where we've gone. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we have this toccata, basically, it's no different than any like sort of like, like it's just something that you would just hear. You just would hear it in a church or like, playing in some mass. And then all of a sudden you just throw on like the kitchen sink at it. And all of a sudden you get this like, it's just crazy. It's one of my favorite pieces.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I totally dug that. Wait, who wrote that?
Is it Keygen Church?
Keygen Church. That's the name of the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I went to the information and there's just like lots of numbers.
You're enjoying anger here, clearly. So
it didn't even really make. I guess that I could see like if I was angry like that playing. To me, it was more like just like badass.
Yeah. Motivating. Yeah. Heroic even. It's funny.
Yes, that. Like, I guess it may be a little montagey, but that music is like in the action. It's not preparing for the action. That music is like in the battle.
Yeah, you're like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
In that case, I was going to move on, but I want you to check out this theme. It's called Extras. It's another character's theme called El Felt, and the singer is Molly Daisy. Really nice name. Nice person, Molly. She's very nice. But let's listen to this though. Ignite the drive in your soul. It's calling you. Unbelievable.
Wow. I think that's Molly?
Yeah. I know.
Molly.
Are you brave enough to be a fool? I'm so
all of it, Molly.
want to be away. No one can find me. I know who I am. I was just a little lost. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to keep it. I'm not sure where I went, but don't get me wrong. I know who I am. And got the drive in its soul. It's calling you. And got the drive in its soul. To each their own. Buckle up, run on, WWAM. Too late, my baby. Run on, WWAM. I'm up and running.
Let's start picking up the little extras of life. Hallelujah. I stumbled many times, I might get hurt.
Totally different song now.
Yeah. Where did he go?
I'm sorry that I'm making on my own. I'm the center of attention. I know who I am. I'm still lost, but I like this pain. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to keep it. Boy, don't get me wrong. I'm having a breakdown. Ignite the drive within the soul. It's calling you. Ignite the drive within the soul. To each their own.
I fell down a lot. I hurt a lot. I was left at alone. But then I realized
It's freaking Amazing Grace. That's like, sounds like it.
Buckle up on the WWAM. Too late to my baby. Up on the WWAM.
I'm a
Isn't that nuts?
Whoa.
That's
So
video.
much just happened.
I know it's like getting smacked in the face. It's crazy. Molly's so versatile. First
I
of
was
all,
about to say, that's like, I felt like it was like the Bohemian Rhapsody of, but like plus a bunch of metal shit in there. Like, oh my God, that was an awesome journey that we just went on.
yeah. It's so fun. It's so fun that there's so much range on display, and there's so many. And I think that's what makes video games so interesting to me is that there's just so much versatility on display, and like there's no rules. And so you're just like constantly creating new things. I mean, like, how does that rank to you? I mean, especially because I said that you sort of grew up with this kind of music kind of in high school and stuff. Like, how does that rank compared to the popular culture stuff that you used to listen to, like Korn and Nine Inch Nails and like whatever?
I mean, it's right. It's, if that had been like, if I had known about this or whatever, if this had been out when I was, I don't know how old this is, when I was in like
Just came out,
fifth or
like-
sixth grade, but it would have been like something I would totally be into because it felt very like girl power.
Hmm.
And also like fucking metal at the same time.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different sections and so many different sort of like transitions into completely different styles. I loved it. It was like really inventive. And you're right. Like there are no rules. And it's like obvious that people know that when they're writing this music. Like now we're going to go into this completely different direction. Like I wouldn't even know how to classify that song.
I don't think you can.
You can't. It's like four different styles in one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's just the game's music. It's like,
yeah.
And you can't even extrapolate that. And I don't even think that it would even, it's crazy because I sometimes wonder about like how a piece like that would do. Well, I always think about like what pieces like this would do in a symphony hall when we listen to more traditional music, which we'll get into here next. But at the same time, like if this stuff was on the radio, I do wonder how it would do and if it would do well and why is it not on the radio? Like mainstream. It's crazy that it's not because that's like raw, powerful talent on full display, better than most contemporary things that we would hear on the radio today. And it's just
absolutely
baffling. It's baffling the divide where people are like, well, video game music is nothing. It's like, well, actually, it's a lot more than nothing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Anyway,
I feel like I am learning and now like how like the wide genres of music that are used in video games.
Before we go to sad, let's go to opera.
Okay.
And I'm going to share this with you. This is from Final Fantasy VI, and it's called the Draco and Maria, and it's actually, so it's literally an opera scene. I haven't gotten there in the game, but so there's an opera within the game. And as far as I know, there's never been, like, there are other operas in games. Like there's an opera scene in Parasite Eve. There's a game about Chopin's life. That's, you know, not the actual life, but like it's like in honor of Chopin, and you play as Chopin. So there are some like musical game, and there's like rhythm games and stuff, right? But so Draco and Maria is actually an opera within a game, and then a giant octopus comes down named Ultros, and you have to fight him on the opera stage. But so for whatever reason, the character Celis, she is singing in an opera, and I don't know the deal, so bear with me. But this particular section is called Aria di mezzo carattere, and who better? You're still mezzo, yeah. You never.
I am.
Yeah.
No.
Oftentimes mezzos will switch up to sopranos. If you're wondering why I asked her that question, but Hillary's always
that would take a lot of work.
Yeah, no thanks.
I still like singing Olga and Maddalena, so
yes, why not? So let's check out the Aria di mezzo carattere. Let's see. Now, this is not what it sounded like in the original video game. This is obviously like the concert version, and it's Aria di mezzo carattere. And I want you to keep in mind that this composer, Nobuo Uematsu, is not classically trained. Not trained at all. This entire sequence, just picture Lucia di Lammermoor, and you basically have what's occurring in the plot of Draco and Maria.
東軍の王子ラルスとの結婚を強いられたマリアはドラクへの思いを捨てきれず毎晩夜空を
So this is the Arya introduction proper. You could sing this. We should do it actually. And then it launches into the ball scene, but that's like the truest. That's the Arya.
Yeah. I mean, you said that person like is like doesn't have like a composition degree or anything, right?
No.
And it sounds like Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yeah, it has like a slight air.
Very melodic.
Do you think that would like? Do you think that that's like a realistic opera quality, or do you think it veers more towards musical theater, like, you know, the delineation there?
I think that it's more legit musical theater sounding.
Yeah. Right.
Which, I mean, is still, are things still produced by opera houses, things that I would still sing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The whole thing is really interesting. It's a 12-minute piece, and it's interesting because it goes through a very shortened You can watch my video on it where I dispel any myths about Draco and Maria. And so can you. That's my call to action for everybody watching this video. But seriously, like there's actually a ton of stuff that's related to, there's a ballet scene. There's a lot of Lucia in here, and then in the end, there's a trio which is very Rosencab. So it's sort of fun how we get like Lucia sextet, so it's like sprinklings of opera, even though it's not in an operatic style, even though there is operatic singing in it and all that other stuff. So anyway, I just had to throw that your way just to have you hear it.
Beautiful.
Let's go to sad. Yeah, let's do that. So this is one of my favorite songs. It's also one of my favorite games. I've put in about 100 and some odd hours into this in like 2 months.
Wow.
This is Smiles from Duran from Warframe. Very complicated to explain the plot, so I'm not going to attempt to. Let's just say that you have been tortured to the brink of your existence, and you have to make you're essentially you lose control, and you do certain things that are deeply, deeply regretful, but you have no control over your body when you do them. And this is a family song based on this particular person's family. And when you find him in the game, he's playing this, and it's a very reflective grief piece. And I won't say any more about it, but I just wanted to wash over you. It's stunning, and I really hope that you enjoy it. And it's okay if you don't, but I really hope you enjoy it.
That was pretty. That was really haunting.
Yeah, it's very haunting. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, essentially, in the game, we're helping this character sort of like absolving them of any wrongdoing, and so by doing that, we free them. Does that come across in the music?
That's exactly. I was gonna say that it sounds like kind of like the aftermath of like this person doing something that felt like very wrong, and they're like grieving over it, but it was like for the greater good. That's what it sounded like to me. Like they're having to reconcile that there was a purpose.
Yeah, and I think part of that, it's interesting because if you look like listening to it, and I've listened to it many more times than you have, but so like repeated listening is always helpful with a lot of these things for deeper understanding, as we know from our opera world, learning music, but there's something about the sweeping melody line there with the lower strings, especially, where it feels like an undulating wave of like almost like being embraced. And it's interesting how music, and you tell me how you feel about this, but I feel like music does such a wonderful job of showcasing like real like rawness, but it's interesting because it does it like the theory and process behind creating pieces of music is incredibly complex, but the emotions that they try to showcase are very like not complex. It's very like in your face. And does that make sense? So
Yes.
Catch on picking up.
No, that's very clear, because it's kind of like the opposite of, and you can cut this out if it's too cerebral, but it's kind of like the opposite of like new, I don't know, classical music composers these days who are trying to make it maybe a little too cerebral and a little, not just like, here's the emotion that I'm giving you, but like, oh, it's your job to do work to understand how to interpret this sort of thing. Like, that's exhausting for an audience.
Yeah. They need to be handed the sort of emotional experience. And obviously like context helps. And like sometimes, most of the time, context is actually really beneficial because then you get like the full experience. But I would say that it's interesting how you're right that there's a process of academic writing that I think video game music sort of avoids those pitfalls because they have to aid in telling a story, which is very rooted in like what we understand, you and I, storytelling. And how to share a story and how to get it across that lip of the stage so that 4,000 people in a theater can say, oh, I relate to this somehow. Especially for us when it's like, well, especially for you, I don't do it anymore, but like for a 400-year-old piece of music, how is an audience going to connect to that if there's no, so it's interesting. It's interesting, the emotional connection that has to exist.
Yeah. And I also, this piece that we just listened to, I really enjoyed like the Asian, I don't know what instrument that was, but it made me kind of visualize, because you said a wave of emotions, and that it made me visualize like somebody like very focused in their own world, like doing Tai Chi. Do you know what I mean? And like the sort of like body waves that they go through. That's what I could kind of envision during that as well. We
have the solo instrument, and then we have the like group instrument that essentially like aids it and like lifts it up and supports it. And I think that idea of like, if many are supporting the one, then like having multiple instruments sort of guiding it, even though it's moving. The instrument there is obviously at the forefront, but then as we're moving, so I'm getting very passionate about this because this is like one of my favorite characters in the game. But the point is like we're sort of lifting in a lot of the ways with singing with us. Do you feel like the orchestra? It's funny because as singers, orchestra and singer and orchestra and singer tie together, but in operas, the goal of the orchestra is to support the singer more often than not, correct?
It should be.
And
sometimes they just drown them out.
Yeah, bad conductors in telling the story. So in a lot of ways, it's the same. Anyway, that's enough about that. That's too long. Nathan, trim that shit up. I was too excited. Let's listen to some. This is another sad song. This is a really, really powerful. This is Garamond the First Hunter.
Oh man, that was like lots of pain and grief in that one.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I have no idea like what's happening in the story, but I was like, to me, it sounded like someone, like an innocent person died senselessly, like didn't need to happen. And there's a lot of like anger and pain surrounding that. Oh, I just gave myself a thumbs up. Look at me.
Death and pain, and yeah. Well, and actually, you're not too far off. If I remember correctly, and someone in the comments can clarify, but I'm pretty sure at the end of Bloodborne, well, we should spoil the whole fucking game, but essentially, well, I mean, it's 9 years. Well, no, we shouldn't spoil the game. Point is, something happens. The things that you do lead to something, and then somebody that you respect and care for is actually like, hey, you fucked up, and now you have to pay the consequences for that. And then you sort of become the thing that you were. It's like that. It's so there's a loss of innocence. There's just a big, huge loss, you know?
Yeah, you can feel the grief and the pain in the music. That is the emotion that the music is 1000% delivering.
And not dissimilarly to Smiles from Sharon, it's very heavy, right? It's very
and I liked how there was obviously like a melody that was it started in the low strings and then it was carried into the higher strings. And I was like, oh, it's like different voices. It's being passed around to these different voices in the orchestra, and then real voices happened. And I was like, that's
yeah, and it plays with each of the parts, and each of the parts reiterate it, which is so satisfying because then it cuts even deeper when the chorus comes in, because then it feels really guttural, right?
Yes,
it's cool. Yeah, that's a really good song to represent grief. Should we go to happiness, calm, enthusiasm, or inspiration? We can't do all of these, but like these are just some of the concepts I have in here.
Happiness, calm. What was
inspiration and that's actually it. Yeah.
Let's do calm. Because what I was thinking about when we were listening to that last one was that the thing that's really exciting about the pieces that we've been listening to me is, and it makes sense because in video games, like it's not just like this is what's happening. Like you have to do something. Action. You're like either on a quest or you've got a mission, and all of the music is really like it's sounding like motivational, mission oriented. So I'm curious to see how calm is in a context of video games when there's like a task at hand. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
you're just like hanging. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of these pieces, they're calm because there's not necessarily things happening. But like in the case of this first piece, Poke Village, this is from Monster Hunter. And literally in Monster Hunter, the goal of the game is to kill these giant monsters for preservation purposes, of course. And so, when you play it, like I've never visited this area, so I don't know. But it's from Monster Hunter Double Cross.
giving like beach vacation.
It's chill.
It is very chill. And I assume that like those sort of like breaks in games aren't necessary. So it's not all like intensity all the time.
Especially in a loop like Monster Hunter, where you're going out killing monsters that are twice the size of you. So when you come back to the village, it's a village theme. So you come back and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
peace.
It's safety.
Yes,
Safety and peace.
yeah. Well, calm is an interesting one because calm can mean so many different things, and we can be calm and still feel other emotions. But that one really, I never heard it before either, and so like that evoked a feeling of calm, respite, like almost joy in a weird way because it's very like peaceful. Yeah, is that what you read too?
Yes, I definitely did. It was giving me just kind of like a sense of safe. It felt like safe and like there were probably people around. There were like safety in numbers sort of thing. Like we're like it's like a supportive sort of vibe.
Yeah, supported, held, looked after, concerned. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just so also really warm, especially
Yeah. What instrument was that? It was like sounded
no
saxophone-y,
idea.
but it wasn't. Probably some sort of like synthesizer something.
Maybe or some sort of like it had like a desert sound quality almost. So I wonder if it's I don't know. There's a blind spot for me for a lot of instruments that are outside of our like standard
Yeah, me
Western
too.
approach, which is I need to do better. There's another piece that's similar, but very much a much more melancholic piece. But I think it exudes a similar kind of calm, especially being that when we hear it, it's actually in the opening of the game, and we're sort of reflecting on a world gone by, if you will, but you're kind of sitting around a campfire with all of your friends and you're going on this journey, and it does have this tenderness, and it's called Tizanarkand, and you'll hear the melancholy, but without saying too much more, I'd love to know what you think.
For everything that was going on in that video, it seemed awfully calm. Like an apocalypse happening in the video, very juxtaposed against the chill piano music.
Well, I mean, when you're experiencing this song, you're, sort of facing, if I recall correctly in the game, it's near the final moments of the game, and you're looking at the damaged and broken world the broken city they used to be a part of, and there's an entity in the game called Sin that wipes out humanity. It's like a giant tidal wave monster beast thing, and it's very complicated. But Sin, I forget what Sin is. Sin is like something that people cause, or people are going to be like, Marco, you're trying to explain listen, trying to explain Final Fantasy is complicated. I haven't played Final Fantasy 10 years. The point is, it's a really powerful moment, but it's interesting that we can have calm in the face of, like, in preparation of and in the face of great adversity.
It's like calm before the storm, I guess calm after the storm, calm in the eye of the storm, which is scary in a hurricane.
Yeah.
But
Right. Right. And I think that the piano and I think instrument choice plays such a big part in that too, because like using the piano, obviously there's orchestrated versions of this now, but like the piano is just so. What was most striking to you about like the piano? Because for me, I hear the counter melody between the left hand and the right hand, especially in the upper register, because the right hand's playing the melody and the left hand's playing this ostinato thing. But like, did the pianos like come out to you? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
I think that the sound of the piano invoked the emotion of sadness.
Right.
That I think that the piano, like that specific instrument, did a really good job in invoking the loss of what they're seeing in that moment.
Yeah. Do you still think it's calm, or do you think it leans too far into like sadness?
I think that it's a mix of the two.
Yeah.
Because it was calm, but it wasn't without issues. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
That's why that it, like, I think that it does lean more sad.
Yep. Yeah. It's again, but it's interesting how the nuance and the emotion of the music is so interesting, because you think it's like one thing, but there's actually like 4 different ways it can go depending on. And I think that's something really worth paying attention to, is like, well, we may think it's one thing, but it can also be 3 other things, depending also on interpretation to a degree as well.
Exactly. And like what came before, what came after, like
Context, of course. Yeah. Well, let's wrap up here with some happy. I've been listening to this piece a lot. It's called Gusty Garden Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy.
this is operatic.
I want to know why. You said that was operatic?
Yeah, I think that I mean, I know it's Super Mario, but I could envision like a scene at the beginning of an act where a bunch of people are like at an airport and they're all like about to go to different places. It kind of reminded me of Flight a little bit, to be honest. and it sounded like very much like music for a journey, in like maybe like a well-written modern-ish American opera.
Yeah, I could totally see that. That's such a valid. I never even thought about it that way, but that's so true. The bright, exuberant energy in this is so it's really hard to not enjoy.
And like very like Western orchestra. Like that's also the reason it was giving me operatic. It was like a pit full of what you would hear in an opera.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there was like some, I don't know, was there like some sort of like, there was like a lot of like rhythmy bump, like, I don't know what they were playing.
The guitar.
Yeah. Like I think that I was like, what is this reminding me of? There were parts of it that reminded me of Bernstein's Mass too.
I've never heard Bernstein's Mass. Really? It reminds you of Bernstein's Mass? I know, I never heard.
I mean, Bernstein, I have performed it, and so like I just know it really well. But there are so many different styles of pieces. Like every single number is a different style. You have to have Broadway singers, opera singers, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's an incredible piece, but it reminded me a little bit of that because like when I did it was with the Philadelphia Orchestra, and there were like the orchestra members were like, oh yes, I finally get to play my electric guitar in the orchestra.
Or if they just did video game music concerts, they could play the electric guitar all the time. Or throw it in there.
I mean, it has to be the future of program. And it's already happening.
It is happening, and it needs to happen more. I mean, what's your sort of takeaway? Like, I want to play more for you, but like, what's the takeaway for you from? I mean, an hour of video game music now. Like, what has changed? Has anything changed? Has things shifted? Are you going to listen to this in your spare time? Like, what's your sort of thought process around video game music now?
I think that there's just like there's way more of a diverse. There's way more styles than I anticipated. I think that I anticipated there being like classical music and video game music and like heavy metal music and video game music. But I didn't expect for there to be pieces that explored like 6 different styles in the span of 5 minutes. Like that's really innovative. When I was a kid, I loved playing video games. But like after Nintendo 64, I just kind of like jumped off the wagon. And but it is the kind of music that made you be like, do I want to play that game now? Do I want to like escape my world and be in that world for a few hours? I like doing that with TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So
maybe
Ben said he was going to get a PS5 soon, so maybe I'll
because you're like, oh, when I was on Marco's channel, I saw some songs.
There's some good music.
Well, you're talking about opera and Mario, but I wasn't going to do this one, but I think that we really just should, because it's like ultimately this is like the definition of opera. So, and we have an opera singer on, so how are we not going to? This is the main theme from Super Smash Bros. Brawl. You said you wanted opera. I'm getting you opera.
He's getting lame Miz.
Yeah. It gets better. that so good?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's epic.
That's the thing. That's epic opera, a happy. It's like, you know, it's I really do think that Nintendo has like some sort of monopoly on happy music, because if you listen to anything, Nintendo's always just so excited. And there's just like sad stuff too, but in general, Nintendo music is just
Happy
feel
is
good.
their brand.
Yeah, family, happy. Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, it definitely was like could be like a big act 2 opener. Here comes the chorus.
Yeah.
They're getting ready for something else.
It's nice though, because there's a sense of like a sense of excitement and knowing that like the thing that you and I have worked so hard to, you know, to find relevancy in has existed in and then also crazy fun fact is that this and Tuzanakand and the Draco Maria, the opera scene, is all written by the same guy, Nobuo Uematsu. And so it's like also seeing his development as a composer in the classical era. Like I wish he was writing operas. My God.
Right. And, you know, like there could be so much great crossover there. Because just because like I don't know video game music, but I know opera music. Now I'm thinking like, oh man, how badass would the Guerra chorus from Norma be in a video game?
It's true.
You know,
like why isn't that put in there? You know, well, yeah.
Yeah, it's public domain.
It's an interesting thing. Well, I thank you, Hillary, for coming on and like letting me dish about video game music. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I learned a lot. You know, it's always, you know, a lot of times we get very one track minded on what we're doing, and it's good. It's good for me to know like what's going on in the video game music world too.
Exactly. And thank you for watching us dish about video game music. And if you want to check out Hillary, all her links are in the description and her bio and all that good stuff. And we will see you later. Bye, everybody.